Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's Training Industry Leader Talk, Creating Training Content with AI, sponsored by CommLab India, ELB Learning, GP Strategies, MadCap, and Lemonade LXP. I'm Avery Vogt, Events Manager at Training Industry, and I'm thrilled to have you here with us today. Before we get started, I would like to quickly go over a few housekeeping items to help you interact with our speaker and get the most out of today's program. Throughout today's event, please feel free to use the chat for comments and submit questions in the Q&A panel. All questions will be addressed during the event or at the end of the program during our Q&A section. At the end of the event, you'll notice a short survey has popped open in your browser, and we'd appreciate your thoughts on today's event. And as always, all of our sessions are being recorded and will be archived on trainingindustry.com, and you will receive a follow-up email from us with a link to the on-demand sessions. If this is your first Training Industry event, a special welcome goes out to you. Training Industry exists to make connections among learning and development professionals. We offer tons of resources to support your role in L&D through live events like today's Leader Talk, as well as through articles on our website, our magazine, conferences, research reports, and our podcasts. We would also love to hear about what you've learned from today's sessions on social media, so please follow us on your favorite platform, and let's continue the conversation. And now, without further ado, it is my pleasure to introduce you to our speaker, Holly Kane. Holly is a recovering learning leader, heads up marketing at Lemonade LXP. With over 20 years of experience in strategy, product management, marketing, and talent development, she understands the importance of leveraging learning technology and fostering talent growth to enhance employee and customer experience. Holly's career has seen her influence talent and revenue growth across multiple organizations. Holly, we are super excited to have you here today. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to you.
Hello, I'm hoping I'm sharing my full screen. If you could just give me a thumbs up, that would be great.
Yeah, great.
Awesome. Okay, I saw UK, France, Greece, Canada. We're going international. I love it. And I hope to, for those of you on that European time zone, I won't keep you into your evening. So I'm just going to give you a little short blip about Lemonade before we get in. Lemonade is a learning and enablement platform that became a learning platform through no fault of their own. They started in a totally different industry, and then they kept getting asked to turn their product into training. And so now here we are, a training platform. We do a lot of work in financial services, but we have expanded outside of financial services to a lot of industries as well. And as mentioned, I'm a recovering learning leader. And so what I'm going to tell you is I'm here to make your life easier. But before, I wanted to just start with a poll to get a sense of who's on the call, understanding sort of where you're at. I know we're the last session of the day, so if you've been in a lot of sessions, you're probably more familiar than you were this morning. But it'd be interesting just to sort of hear where people are now, so we can keep that in mind as we go through the webinar. And I'm also one for engagement, so please put notes in the comment section, answer our polls. I can only see my screen, so if you say something funny, I really hope it's shared with me live. But let's have some fun together as we go through this next 45 minutes.
All right, I'm going to give everyone about 3 more seconds here, and then I'll share the results. And Holly, I will say there's a little box at the top. If you want to hit that X mark, blocking the presentation just a little bit, about reactions.
The reactions. Oh, let me get rid of that if I can move my mouse there. No, I can't. All right, I'm really trying, guys. I will continue to click on my mouse until that goes away at some point. All right, we have very familiar, somewhat familiar. That's the big one. That's a safe bet, the somewhat familiar. All right, well, let's keep going through, and I will try to get rid of that reaction at some point. All right, so we're going to talk about a few things, limits of traditional training, of which most of you are probably very familiar with and continue to update on a regular basis. So how AI can change that flow for you and what's different there. Scaling, making their life easier, and some of those myths and concerns that we keep hearing about when it comes to AI. So let's kick it in, the limits of training. Okay, so I'm maybe sound a bit pessimistic. I want you to know I'm a full optimist. But when it comes to traditional training, we can sort of struggle with that world. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of time to create e-learning. It takes a lot of time to create in-person learning. And often, by the time you get it done and it's beautiful and people are loving it, things change, whether it's, a product change or a corporate change or a policy change or government regulation change, things change fast. which leaves things outdated and irrelevant and inconsistent. You have some people kind of remembering the old and other people not remembering the new. And making sure that our content is getting up to date regularly in a way that's sort of productive and speedy can be really, really hard to do. I know that, you spend, if you're creating content, you can spend upwards of 40% of your time updating content, and that's not giving you what you need for productivity. So another poll, I told you I'm interactive, and while that goes up, I'm going to try to fix that reaction thing that I just can't seem to click on. But what is that pain point that you feel when it comes to creating content? It could be one of the things I already talked about. It could be one of these. You can throw it in the chat if there's anything else. I'm really interested to hear what you all have on the go. And I'm not going to lie, that reaction thing, not going away. So I'm going to give up and maybe it'll disappear over time, but hopefully it's not too distracting for you.
Not at all. Okay, I'm going to give everyone about 3 more seconds here and I'm going to share the results.
Keeping content up to date. Yes, and engagement. Man, it's hard, right? Like you spend so much time creating content. You think this is gold. You're going to have them engage. And the best compliment you get was, wasn't that bad. Not so helpful for the ego, not so helpful for you. Well, let's keep going and see how we can help change that for you along the way. AI, biggest topic. I found this quote in a magazine. Actually, truthfully, I didn't. A colleague found this quote in a magazine, and I thought, this is gold. AI is kind of like when they released Excel in the 80s. It's unbelievable what it can do. Nobody really knew how to use it. And now imagine working without Excel. This reminds me of my very first job. There was a woman that I worked with, and I might be dating myself, she still used a typewriter. And to get her to stop was next to impossible. It took like continuous effort to constantly say, no, look, it's okay. The computer can do that for you. Imagine if you make a mistake, you just put backspace. Eventually, she adopted the computer, fell in love. That solitaire game of the 80s did a lot for her. It just changed the way she worked. But it was that initial fear that she had, a fear of the unknown. She wasn't comfortable with it. She wasn't ready to change. And over time, that relaxed and it worked out better for her. So another poll, I promise is the last poll to the very end. But what is, if you're hesitant, and if you're here, you might not be, what are the biggest restraints, things holding you back when it comes to leveraging AI? And if you have anything else, throw it in the comments and keep the conversation going behind the scenes. Is there anything that's holding you back? And I'll admit, I was a bit skeptical at first, but man, have I made my life easier. All right, what do we got? The biggest one, this is when I should be wearing my AI content quality. Fair question, fair concern. It is absolutely a concern. And sometimes you'll notice that, if you're using ChatGPT for something, you'll just notice, is that really the best answer you can give me? So I totally understand that. All right, I'm going to walk you through a scenario where leveraging AI content will really help streamline operations, make life easier, and support your staff and customers. So this is Adam. Adam is eager. He just started. We're going to put him in a bank because my scenario that I'm going to show you is about a bank. So this is Adam's first day at the bank, and he is eager and excited to get started. And, onboarding, it's a thing. And within an hour, 2 hours, Adam's like, oh my God, there's so much information here. There's so much I need to know. It is overwhelming. I keep getting notifications of updates. Poor Adam is now very stressed. And this is a real situation, right? When someone's joining an organization, onboarding is critical. I remember, I will tell this story. I remember day one at a company. I started and someone else started the same day. Halfway through the day, he was running out the back door. Onboarding has a huge impact, and making sure people feel comfortable and have the tools and the care that they need going forward is invaluable, right? Because you don't need that churn right away. You took so much to hire this person. You need to keep them there and keep them confident. And training plays a big role in this. So imagine you're at a company and all the things that Adam needs to learn, right? Adam has to learn at a bank, compliance, products, services, security. I mean, it's endless. I was talking to a customer and they listed all of the things that they need to train their employees on. And I thought, oh my God, the poor people. So, but imagine if there was a way to take all of that knowledge all together and put it in a database, and then that content could be created for them. So an example, personalized training. So when we think of creating content for employees, we think of the new employee, the seasoned employee, the one that we're looking to promote to the next level, that life cycle of an employee. And the training you give them is slightly different. Year over year, you don't want to give the same painful compliance course to the same people, because it just becomes that click, 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 rinse and repeat process, and they're not really getting things. So you want to think about where they are in their journey as an employee. So in Adam's case, he's fairly new, and the power of AI is leveraging the prompts to tell the story for someone that is new in their role and what they need to know right away. And AI allows us to sit back and really think, what is it that that person needs to know? How can I grow them? And so the outcome then is you create your prompt. It looks at all of your database of knowledge that you have shared, and it will generate the training content for you. So then you have that new hire onboarding experience. And the output can be anything that your mind can desire, from a video, maybe like a blog type post, or in this case, you have a scenario. And when you think of what humans can do, and don't get me wrong, I love humans, what humans can do versus what AI can do, is you can think of taking maybe a call center script and how that conversation went. And you can import that in and say, what is the best, knowing our products, knowing our services, what would be the best way to walk through this scenario? And you can create content out of that that will help change that flow and help people understand what's the next best thing to do. The other great advantage of what AI can do that we struggle with, that we, in some surveys, in the poll I asked earlier, it was quite high, keeping content up to date. We've done some previous research where, people are spending 40% of their time keeping content up to date. The biggest pain point is keeping content up to date, finding all the different areas where it's written, and think beyond just training. It's the product sheets, it's the website updates, it's the customer marketing newsletters that you send out. How do you make sure that everything is staying up to date when products and services change, when corporate strategies change? That's huge. And looking across all of your content, it's next to impossible to make sure that the old content is removed, the new content is updated. And if you can do that, please call me, because it's been a struggle my entire career. So keeping content up to date when you're generating it, that when content gets updated in your database, it says, hold on a second, something's new, something's been updated. Your content is outdated. We've made the changes for you. Are you ready to publish? Do you want to review and publish? And I will say, and I saw the concern that came in around making sure the content is correct. There's so much opportunity to, make sure that humans are also looking, are also playing a part in the review of the content. So having it up to date and then saying, are you ready to publish? Would you like to review? Is a great advantage to make sure that it really is aligning with your organization as you grow forward. One of the big issues, struggles that organizations have with training, the best of the trainers and the most engaging of the trainers, and the content that is wonderful. And I'll say, everybody will tell you that their content is the best, and it probably is. But there's that forgetting curve, right? And so when you take a course, you go to a conference, which is why I'm sitting in a hotel room right now. All of those things, you walk away from that session or that e-learning and you forget about 50% an hour later, because there's so much in there that is almost irrelevant. And you really just want to focus in on what's necessary. And then when you go like a day later, forget it. You've lost even more. And then a week later, you might remember one key point. And it's very important to keep that in mind when we're creating content along the way. So how can AI support you on that journey as well, right? So poor Alex, he's now working on the floor. He's done his onboarding and he forgets something. Well, when you think of what happens today, Alex will call up Sally. Sally, how do I do this? Sally leaves what she's doing to go help Alex, or she sends him a PDF, or, or she never gets the email and poor Alex is standing there wondering how to do something. So it's really important that we keep that information accessible and ready. And so ensuring that you're having those reinforcement tools available is a way to support Alex, all employees in the flow, right? I need to know this right now. And not only do I need to know it, but I want to make sure it's accurate. I want to make sure I truly understand it. So they'll give you a quick answer. And, as AI continues to improve, it'll also give you the sources. So if you think about it in a workplace, and I'm a sales rep and I'm about to go on a call, and I want to make sure that I have all the information, I can do things like, AI is just a beautiful thing. I can do things to say I'm on a call with ABC Bank or ABC Software, and I want to be able to on this new tool that we have. What is the best way to position it? What are the key advantages of this product? That can come directly to you along with the sources, which if you're implementing it, remember garbage in, garbage out, but if you're putting in the right content, maybe that's a data sheet. Maybe that's something that you can share directly on the call. Oh, and I have this data sheet for you, or I have this case study for you. All of that information can be just at the fingertips of your employees. And Alex is now happy. He's relaxed. He's confident and he's sitting back. And that is a huge change from direction. When I think back, and I'm going to peek at the chat as I try to tell this story. Apparently, no, I'm not going to do that either. When I sit back and think about the success that organizations have when they properly train their employees, when you keep them supported in the flow where they understand how to answer questions, that fear, think of a call center. Someone's calling in, I need to know how to use this product. There's a panic because that poor guy is supporting 5 or 6 different products and he becomes very stressed. That ability to give them the confidence, the ability to have them do some walkthroughs of the software to make sure they understand it, that has had a significant impact on attrition. We've had some past customers talk about their attrition rate dropping by 56%, 58%, like over 50% drop in attrition is a beautiful thing. And that confidence that they're getting, they're recommending products, they're cross-selling and they're upselling because now they can see the picture coming together. Now they have the answers they need when they need it. When I think of the amount of work, and I'll be honest, I was a bit of a skeptic when it came to AI, and I was like, I can do this faster, better. I'm old. I've been working a long time. The reality is the workplace has changed so much. And I know everyone says that and it's kind of boring to hear, but it has. The expectations of you are so much higher than they were even 5 years ago. The output people are looking for is so much higher and the stress has gone up and the burnout rates are absolutely through the roof. And when people are expecting us to do more in less time, it's impossible. And that's where that being familiar and comfortable using tools go a long way, right? Like you can now put more product out or more training out, more collateral out because you're using the tools that are there for you. I mean, it's like you'd use a calculator. Why wouldn't you consider using more? When I think of, the average time, and I know I have a lot of people on here who create content, so you can throw in how long it takes you on average. But when I think of how long it takes to create an online course, to create classroom training, to create a video, and listen, 18 hours to create a video is pretty spectacular because I do 742 takes every time I do one. To create content takes so much time, so much energy, so much creativity. But if you're using tools to really help push that forward or bolster your productivity, you see that time shrinking out. So when you're being asked for, we're launching a new product, I need training for customer sales, customer service, all of the people. And you know it can't be necessarily a one size fits all. So how do you punch that out in a reasonable time? You can use the tools available to you to help with that. And we've talked about this statistic already, 40%. 40% of your time updating content means that you don't leave yourself a lot of time to be creating new, to be really doing, let's face it, what you want to do, what you get out of bed to do. Nobody gets out of bed to build compliance training. And I really hope there's no CISOs on the call, but nobody gets out of bed to do that. But if you're spending all of your time updating and not all of your time really helping to grow and develop the employees and help build their careers and bring, you know, that fulfillment to them, then you're missing that opportunity. So leverage the tools to make that easier to go forward. And then I know I've talked about compliance, and I think part of that is because I've been working with a lot of financial institutions over the past little while. But if you're in an industry where there is a high level of compliance or a high level of security, using these tricks, using AI, it's not just a nice to have. Things change so fast, and the onus is really on you to stay up to date and make sure your content's up to date. This is an essential part of what you need to do your job. There's so much that is changing, keeping track of it all. That's a master's in project management as it is. And when you look at the use cases that are available, right? So I know I've beaten up compliance so far. I think it's because I once worked at a cybersecurity company, and I have a little bit of stress from that. But streamlining onboarding and compliance effortlessly, you have the content that you need your employees to know. You have the experts in your organization. Like, lean on your product marketing team. If you're a software company, give me everything, all of that goodness. I'm going to take and create content, training content around all of your material. And then you don't need to be the SME. You can go to the SMEs in your organization, not take them out of their job, get the information from them, and from that, build your content. Your CISO will be your best friend if you say, hey, friend, I need to know what's new. Tell me about the security stuff. Give me all that. Give me that new document on the regulatory changes. I want it. I need it. They'll be your best friend. You're going to build training, look like the superhero. Making sure products and services are up to date. I mean, how often do companies release a new product and the adoption or the sales of the new product sort of jump down because everyone's trying to learn what it does, and it's just easier for them to sell the old stuff. And so making sure that they have the confidence going forward is what they need to really accelerate those sales, and making sure your customers understand the benefits and value to really boost adoption. This is all areas where that speed to content, speed to updating, speed to training really has a huge impact. And this is an opportunity for you to leverage those tools. And I don't know, I have a soft spot for training people because I've previously been in training roles. Like, you're the superheroes that no one's given enough credit to. So this is an opportunity for really to use the resources and be able to leverage that and become that. And I know there's fear, right? I know, and fear is probably not a harsh word, but I always laugh whenever I see organizations talking about AI, and it's a scary looking picture. Like, there's a black background, there's lines everywhere, there's some ghost looking thing, and they're talking about AI, which is why when Lemonade talks about AI, we have that cute little robot lemon. It's not a scary thing. It shouldn't be a scary thing, but you know, there are lots of fears out there, one of which it'll replace our jobs, and not just L&D jobs, every job. And no matter what you think of, you know, the world today and software today and the software leaders of today, this quote really resonates with me. It goes back to the Excel quote earlier. It goes back to my friend who needed to get off the typewriter and onto the computer. AI is not stealing jobs. What it's gonna change them, right? It's gonna allow you to be more productive. But what may impact you is that person that comes along who is comfortable and confident using it. because they will be able to show the productivity. They will be able to continue to be employed because they're punching out at the speed that businesses, right or wrong, are expecting us to pump out content for, right? So really becoming comfortable with it is a huge advantage for your career growth going forward. Generated AI lacks engagement. And I also heard lacks, there's a fear of what if it's incorrect. I think what it can do is really take what our imagination and build it out, right? Build out that faster way of interacting with content. When we build our training content and we're using our big systems, we're like, oh, God, they're going to click on this and this is magically going to appear. And then by the time you're doing it, you're like, yeah, slow down already. I'm just going to, yeah, done. Good enough. This actually allows you to think, this is what I want and here's what I'm going to do. And it doesn't just generate that one piece of content. You can tweak it for each different roles and learning preferences as well, right? So when we think of that traditional SCORM course, that hits a few people the right way, right? They click, they hear, they see it. Other people will learn by video. Other people will learn by doing. Other people will learn by being quizzed. Other people will learn by finding errors and things and say, that's not right. I know that's not right. Let me fix that. People learn differently, and we need to be able to adapt to that. And then think of those scenarios, and I kind of cheated a little bit and mentioned this one earlier. There's so much information out there now. So think of sales reps at a software company, and their calls are all recorded on Gong. Imagine taking that transcript and turning that into a learning tool. Imagine saying, okay, here's a typical transcript. How could I have improved that? And build a scenario-based learning course for all of sales, saying, here's what could have been said. Here's what not calling someone out, but here's one answer. Here's a wrong answer. Here's a good answer. Here's an awesome answer, and help train them through that process, and just sort of be able to pull out on their calls and taking that content and build it in. That would take hours, days to build on our own. But if we can just leverage AI to make that faster, that's a huge change for us. The other fear is implementation. And man, do I know the struggle implementing learning tools. I've worked for learning companies. I've implemented learning tools. It's hard, and nobody needs another one. Well, the good news is that, well, one, real complexity is creating the learning content once you have the tools. So let's help with that bottleneck, number one. Most AI learning content creations are already integrated with your learning system. They can be integrated with your knowledge base, your content repository. That reduces friction. And they're built with you in mind, not your IT support who needs to do it, who needs to be there for you, holding your hand. They're built for you. So they're simple and easy to use. And so there's a full advantage of that on that front as well. So when you're thinking, hey, maybe I do want to take a look at some AI tools out there, there are a few things that I think is important for you to look for. Ease of use being one. Like, you don't need technical uplift. You just want it to be easy and simple. Something that will not only auto-generate the content, but maintain it and keep it up to date. And so when you're looking at the different tools, what it is, does this content get created based on one document or one thing that I'm pasting in, or will it leverage my entire content to do this? So multi-documents, multi-sources, will it be able to generate the content looking across multiple sources? And then if those sources change, will it be able to flag? If not update, at least flag and update for me. You want to make sure that the tool that you're looking for allows you to make personalized content based on the roles or the skill levels. And that comes down often to how you prompt the tool. But to make sure that that is something that you can do, have those right prompts, that to make sure that you're, for somebody who's onboarding, someone who's seasoned, someone who's progressing in their career, you want to make sure that the output is not boring. Boring is boring. Nobody likes the boring stuff. You want people excited about your content. Imagine a world where your biggest request or your biggest complaint was, give me more content. It can happen. It has happened. So make sure that output is exciting. Make sure that output is engaging. Make sure it's visibly pleasing. And then scalable to meet your needs, right? From onboarding and offboarding. And then I'll add to this, and it's not on the slide, but I'll add to this that you can go in and adjust it for you, right? So if something's not quite hitting, can you edit that once it's created, or you're kind of stuck with it? Can I, put some images, replace images? Can I adjust the language? All of those things are what you want to look for when you're looking for the right and proper tool to go forward. I'm really excited to read the chat. I see it coming in, but I just can't see it right now. So some key takeaways for you. It can make your content faster, easier, and more effective. And I say that not because I don't think that people are doing a phenomenal job. I say that because, like me, you are probably being asked to do more without more time. And you need to find the best way to produce and make that possible. It can ensure that what you are doing is accurate and up to date. And so that's really something you want to keep an eye out when you're looking for an AI tool for learning. Will you help me stay up to date? Will you make sure that when something changes, I can find those changes and make it happen? And it can really help you with that real-time support, right? So if I'm creating content and then I know a week later, Adam's forgetting it and he needs help, can I also bolster that real-time question and answer or real-time learning, flip back to the training in the right spot in the right place to make sure that your teams have the support that they need? These are great takeaways from AI. This is where we can flourish really in our careers by having these tools available to us. And this will help support your organization and your employees as you are going forward. Because let's face it, learning leaders, we do get out of bed to help people progress in their career. We do want to see people successful. We want to be part of that journey. And so whatever we can do to make that journey better for them and easier for us, it's a win across the board. That's all. I kept it short. I know. I saw France, UK, and I want to keep it short. So if you got questions, now's the time. We'll make up some answers. Not really. I will actually tell you the truth as best I can. But how are those questions coming in, Avery?
Awesome. Yeah, thanks so much. This was really great. We do have some questions coming through. I want to start us off. There were some messages in the beginning about people having security concerns with AI, their companies having security concerns. So the question is, our organization is risk adverse. What can I tell my IT team about using AI to protect or only use our own data while building training courses?
Totally a fair question. I will tell you that our CTO here is the strictest person I have ever worked with in my life. Please don't tell him I said that. Actually, he'd probably like it. You need to ask the right questions. You need to make sure that their security is in place. You need to understand, if I'm importing my data, how do I ensure that another one of your companies doesn't have access? How do I ensure, and can you ensure that it is only going to look at my knowledge base to build the content? And so when you're talking to a vendor about that, they will absolutely have answers. Keep drilling in. What if I want to go out to the internet? Can I do that? Yes or no? Can I make sure that it's locked down and only my own company information is in there? Ask those questions. Can I make sure that certain people asking questions only see certain pieces of the content or certain answers? Maybe there's content that is above their pay grade. Can I lock that down? These are all questions that you need to ask. Ask when you're talking to the vendor along the way, and get access to their trust center. I would suggest having your IT and security team part of this process very early on. You need them to be on board with you.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you. That was great. We have a couple questions here about some AI tool recommendations. So what is a great tool that you can use that will automate and update? Another person was asking just for some recommended AI tools. So what are your recommendations on that?
Well, I'm biased. Lemonade does offer AI generated content. It offers the tool for you. So I'm happy to send you information about that. But all across the learning atmosphere, AI, we've heard it for a long time, right? And for a long time, I've heard, what do you think about AI and learning? And my answer was always like, yeah, whatever, it's not doing much, until really this year. And then I was like, everything's changing. And so I would say that almost every learning platform out there has it or is going to have it soon. The more traditional ones, the traditional content, like the content creation tools, they're going to get there. You see a little bit of it now. It's slowly coming. But as far as the AI generate, they're not all created equal. So make sure you're asking those questions. Single source, multi-source, my content, external content. There's a lot of questions you need to ask, but full bias, yeah, we do it. But you know, it's across the board everywhere.
Awesome. And then kind of a follow-up question to that was from Aaron, are there any suggestions for where they should look as a starting point to learn how to actually implement AI in their job? Like any good professional development recommendations?
Oh my God, yes. There's so many courses out there, whether they were created with AI or not is a question, about leveraging AI. I'm happy to share some resources, a post webinar with you as well. You know, prompts, how to use the right prompts. I'm on LinkedIn a lot, and depending on your role, and I've seen most of you probably in learning, people are always sharing cheat sheets. Like, just get comfortable with those, play with it. Start, you know, even if you're just for your own growth, playing with ChatGPT or any of the other public chat, just to practice what you can do and finding those cheat sheets. But I am absolutely happy to share some resources on courses that are out there that you can take if you're interested in that. And there's so many cheat sheets that I just love. So I'll share those as well.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay, another question. Our team has different roles and needs. How does AI make training more personalized?
So that's a great question. I'll just make up a scenario. You have a sales team and you have a customer support team, and you have launched a new product and you want to make sure that they know what they need to know for their specific role. So with sales, you're going to want to talk key benefits, return on investment, demoing, how to demo, make sure they're absolutely comfortable with the product. So those are the kind of prompts that you might do with, I'll use our product name. Insight AI has just been released. Tell me the key product or the key features and benefits for this organization. And how do I help ensure that they will understand the ROI? It'll build the content for you, and it may be able to do like a blog post, or if you want to make it a learning opportunity, it can create a certain game for you along the way. And then with customer service, you might be asking, or customer care, you might be asking a different question, the how do I support the actual user? Because when you're selling to sort of not always the user, right? You're selling to the VP director level. When you're dealing with the customer success, you're talking to the user. You're just changing your prompts. It's using the same content to build the course for you, but the questions you're asking it is going to tweak the output for you a little bit, so it's more per audience. I hope that helps.
Absolutely. Okay, lots of other questions coming through here. AI sounds good for making training faster, but how do you make sure the content is actually good and engaging?
That's a good question. Okay, so again, various tools will do things differently. I will be biased again and use our tool. So when you're going through and you ask your prompt, what it then does is give you a summary of the content for you. So you'll be able to review that summary in full and the resources. And most of them will do this, right? They'll say, okay, here's what I hear you asking. Here's the summary for you. And then it'll say, I've looked across these 6 documents for this information and link to the documents to verify. And if you're not comfortable with what that output is, maybe it's your prompt, try a prompt again. Maybe you want to add something to it, throw another paragraph in there so that gets included in. And then the next step would be to generate that content. And this is where you can, in our case, pick the type of content you want, and it'll build it. In other cases, it might be build the template you want and it'll populate the template for you, but you should be part of that process. So that's why I don't say it goes from hours and weeks to minutes, because you still are part of that process. It's just the process is not as heavy lifting for you, but you still verify, you still look, and you still make it comfortable. And if you generate and you don't like the results, try a new prompt.
Awesome. That's a great tip. Okay, question here. Can you generate courses using the free version of AI? And what might be some of the pitfalls of doing that?
Okay, so if you're just going to generate, so ChatGPT, I'll use as an example. They continue to get better at everything. If you ever need to create a web page, they will give you the code. So they'll continue to get better at all of that goodness. What I would use ChatGPT for as your testing ground. And again, please, I don't want your security people calling me. So make sure you're good with it. But I would use it for something like a curriculum, right? Here's the information I need. Can you build a curriculum for me? And then you build the content in another tool that's specific for learning, generating learning content. You can use AI to help summarize for you, summarize all of these documents. It'll summarize it for you. Then maybe you use that to build your content, or you put that into a content generator tool that's built for learning. So there's lots of different ways that you can continue to use ChatGPT. Nuances. So again, when you're looking at the vendor for the learning side, can I customize it to align with how we would speak internally? Like, I'm pretty informal. I would never say, you know, I don't want to make fun of what always sounds like ChatGPT, the ever changing, fast paced. I don't say that. So we can change the nuance to be like a little more relaxed, a little more fun. So those are fun things to look for too when you're looking at the vendor. Will it align with our brand and our voice along the way? And ChatGPT can do that for you too. It can have some fun with aligning to your brand.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, I think we have time for probably one more question. People on our team really prefer quick bite-sized learning instead of long courses. Can AI help us with that?
Oh my God, was that somebody from our company? Okay, I'm going to be biased again. When I say Lemonade focuses on what really matters, our content is all micro learning forms. And so yes, 100% AI can help you with that. We do game-based, we do video, we'll do blog posts, we'll do scenarios, we'll do tech walkthroughs. So yes, it's not, AI learning is not limited to long form learning, short, to the point, fast. I mean, if we don't have time to create the content, we know our employees don't have time to take the content. So let's really just focus in on what matters.
Amazing, thank you. And we have time for, I think, for one more question that just came through.
I love questions. Okay.
That came through the chat. Someone was asking, I've used the free version of ChatGPT for curriculum and content development, but are there any other tools that are learning specific?
So bias again, Lemonade has the tool that's learning specific. We offer Insight AI that works with our learning management system. But I will tell you that most learning vendors out there now offer some form of AI content creation. And it's for you really to figure out the best one for your organization.
Perfect. And I do see Jonathan put that link in the chat.
Thanks, Jonathan.
All right. Well, now it looks like we're about out of time.
All right. I have one more poll. Can we do one more poll?
Mm-hmm.
I just want to know if anyone's still interested in exploring. I did say that I would offer out some resources for you. So if there's anything that we can do to help you, let us know here or in the chat. I'm happy to reach out. You can connect with me on LinkedIn. I love making friends and keeping the conversation going. So happy to do that as well. And then that's all from us. Thank you very much, Amy. I'll hand it back over to you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Holly. It's been wonderful having you here. Thanks for answering all the questions. I'm going to go ahead and let everyone know some next steps. All right. Well, I would like to say thanks again to all of our dynamic speakers and to our sponsors, CommLab India, ELB Learning, GP Strategies, MadCap, and Lemonade LXP. All of today's sessions are pre-qualified for a credit hour by SHRM, HRCI, ISPI, and CPTM. I would have some additional resources for you as well. I would love to meet you all here in Raleigh, North Carolina for the 2025 Training Industry Conference and Expo. TICE is where learning leaders like you gather to forge new professional connections, learn from each other, and address your most pressing learning challenges. Re-energize your learning initiatives at TICE 2025 this summer, and early bird registration is open through the end of March. Learn best practices for developing and delivering successful training initiatives. Learn the key to processes and frameworks to organize and optimize your training development and delivery efforts with the Training Development and Delivery Certificate. Learn more at trainingindustry.com/courses. And one last reminder that a survey will pop open in your browser upon exiting, and we would greatly welcome your feedback on today's event. Thank you again for joining us, everybody, and for your participation in the chat. Until next time, I'm Avery, and I hope you all have a great rest of your day.